That's Nick.
And that's Joseph.
And I'll explain this one. You, for the past few years, have been given the opportunity to interview filmmakers who are being considered for Best Foreign Language Film at the Academy Awards, which is now called Best International Feature. So this year you've already done like 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
This one is for a film called
107 Mothers, which is Slovakia's nomination.
And who you interviewed the director,
Péter Kerekes. And I actually saw this film in September at the Venice Film Festival. I was exhausted and saw it right before, thankfully, going to bed that night. So, and I remember liking it, so it was nice to kind of catch up and explore it in a more...
meaning you rewatched it recently.
Yes, for the interview, of course. And it's Kerekes, this is his narrative feature debut, but he's directed several documentaries, and the approach that he took to this was that of a documentary filmmaker. So a lot of it feels a little bit like a hybrid, but has some interesting moments. The title is indicating it's kind of a mosaic. It's set on 3 different maternal figures in this particular prison in Odessa, Ukraine, where this prison has since been closed, which I found out from the interview, but it was a prison where women that gave childbirth in prison were able to rear them for 3 years. They'd see them several hours every day, and if they did not receive parole or their sentence wasn't ended, then the child, if they didn't have family members, would have to go to an orphanage. So it focuses on one woman who's not going to be granted parole, who killed her lover out of jealousy and is very much in anguish because no one will take her child. And one of the women that works in the prison takes a liking to her. So this was a pretty fun conversation, actually, considering the subject matter. Well, it's not a happy film per se, but there's a lot of hope in it, and I think it's very well done because a lot of these women are playing themselves. It's like Orange is the New Black as a stark drama, but these women talking about their experiences. The lead is a professional actress because he shot this over several years, over the summers. So that's why I said there's kind of a documentary approach to it. But so he had to have his lead character. Could have been somebody that was released and he wouldn't have access to her anymore. He wanted to have the premiere at the prison, but it closed before that. The pandemic was actually helpful to him because it really allowed him to edit down all of his numerous footage into some, as he called it, there was a process of distillation. And in the interview he talks about over the pandemic he did a couple things, and one was editing the hell out of this film and learning to distill his own liquor.
Anything else?
No.
Enjoy the interview.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Bell. I'm the chief film critic at Ion Cinema, and it is my pleasure to be able to speak with Péter Kerekes today, who is the director of 107 Mothers, which I happened to see at the Venice Film Festival where it premiered in the Orizzonti. It won Best Screenplay. It is now Slovakia's official submission for the 94th Academy Awards in the Best International Film category. So congratulations on that distinction as well. You've previously directed several documentaries, and I find that interesting because I can see that approach and how you made 107 Mothers. So let's start with the origins of how you came to the film, which I read I heard you speak on was originally about the love letters, which is a device I really like in the movie.
Yes. In the beginning, to be honest, we were researching a topic for a documentary film. I wanted to make a film about censors, about the people who are censoring letters in the prison. And we realized that, of course, the prisoners are not writing outside anything what is illegal because they know that the letters are censored. So most of the letters are love letters. And I was interested to find a person who is basically whose job is to read love letters 8 hours a day. And we did quite a huge research. We met several persons like this. And during the research, we found Irina Kiryazeva, who is an operational officer in the Odessa prison. And she's working in a prison for women. And there was one special thing. This is one of the few prisons where the mothers can be together with their children. So we said, yes, this is such a strong topic, such an interesting thing, that we have to research deeper there, and we have to make a movie out of this.
Yeah, it's fascinating because you tap into a universal theme in such a specific community, a very specific situation. You filmed this over how long? I know that over several summers you were making the project, but from start to finish, how long did this take?
We started the research in 2015. And basically, we found a prison, and the first test shooting was done in 2016. And the last shooting day was in 2020, actually, before the quarantine started. So it was several summers, several winters. And this gave us the opportunity really to capture also visually how the place is changing. And of course, also visually how the people in the prison are changing.
Mm. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And also to learn that many of these women are actually playing themselves. But for your lead, for Lesya, you had to, because of the amount of time and you couldn't risk losing your protagonist, you had to cast a professional actress. And how long did it take for you to land on her?
It was really a very long casting that we did. And we had several possibilities. And then I found her a situation when actually the part of the casting was to take them to the real prison. So to see how they can interact with the real prisoners. And she was really great in this because she was on one side really scared. You see some innocence in her face, but on the other side, like this was something that she knew a little bit. And she was in a very good relationship with other prisoners. And so the life and the film was somehow joined together. Mm-hmm. And that's how we decided to have Marina as our main actress.
Yeah, that you can't tell. I had to read that you cast her specifically. I also really like the character of Irina and how you tie into, again, the letters with her own mother, opening her own letters, and how that is kind of a process of care, if you will. I thought was really interesting. The final shot where Irina is walking with Kolya down the steps, the Odessa steps, I couldn't help but think of Eisenstein. Was that?
Yes.
and Eisenstein and children in particular. Was that on purpose?
Yes, of course, it was on purpose. And to be honest, actually, it was a joke. And I thought that this is something like a cheap joke and let's film it, but let's film it just for some additional materials for our PR. And it will be not in the movie. But when we have been in the editing room, we suddenly found that, yes, this is the end of the movie. This should be the final shot.
I thought it worked quite well. I mean, obviously, if you're familiar with that Eisenstein, I thought of that, but it's touching. With the music playing over it, I think that it doesn't play like a joke at all. I like that you just have described the film as a mosaic because it's called 107 Mothers, but you really you called it a process of distillation. Is focusing on these several women. And let's comment on the editing process, which you said the pandemic helped you be able to do.
Actually, during the pandemic, I learned to make two things. One was to distill alcohol because I had a lot of plums, and finally I had time, and to edit this movie. And both of the processes are very, very similar. Like you need to have high quality plums. And then you have this first alcohol out of it, and then you distill it. And we had absolutely the same situation with the film, because we had hundreds and hundreds of hours. And basically our goal was to minimize, to distill literally these hundreds of hours to 90 minutes of the movie. And because the method of the filming, I tried to give maximum freedom to the actors.
Mhm.
So basically, we had 30, 40-minute long shots. And I knew that there is one moment, and sometimes it was just a moment of silence,
Right.
when it was so real and so touching that I knew, okay, like we have this 30 seconds. And it was really like very exhausting to watch it again and again and again, and to select the emotionally strongest moments.
Do you know how many hours of footage did you have overall in all of this?
I even don't count it on hours. We count it on terabytes.
Okay. Um, do you know, because enough time maybe has passed now, do you know if any of the actual mothers in the film have seen it? I was just curious.
Yes, actually, my big dream was to make a premiere in the prison in Odessa.
Yeah.
Like it should be the first place. But during our editing, the state decided to close this prison. So actually, the mothers, they are all over Ukraine now.
Okay.
So to make it possible for them in spring or summer, when the situation will be better, we are planning to make a tour in the prisons just to show to our prisoners the film, because it's not possible to make in one place. But of course, some of them are already released, so they saw it online. And yeah, it was very nice to listen to the feedbacks that they were saying.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah, that must be a very unique experience. So you wrote it. So it was written or conceived alongside Ivan Ostrochovsky. Is that correct?
Yes, Ostrochovsky.
Ostrochovsky. Sorry, I've seen his previous film Servants, and I thought that was an interesting credit to see alongside you here. How involved was he with crafting the story, or was it once you started, you just saw where it went?
No, it was from the beginning. We were building it together.
Okay.
It's very nice. Like we have completely different view to the cinema.
Yeah.
And it was quite a battle, but I think a good battle. You know, like it was like two interesting personalities meeting together with different points of view and destyling the film. And basically, the script itself was very simple, because we had a story based on the story of one of the prisoners, and the line is like very simple. What was really complicated is to put all these subtexts together. The stories of the women that murdered their husbands because of jealousy, the stories of the children, and so these small lines to balance properly. And it was much more a work in the editing room, but Ivan was, of course, involved also in that.
Sure. There's even a large amount of visual detail in every scene, and I guess that would make sense with if you're having very long shots. But what the camera's focusing on, you pick up a lot of kind of interiority about these people just from, even as you said, in the silent moments, which I thought was very impressive. I'm curious, because I'm assuming you weren't overly familiar with women in the Ukraine's prison system. What was the most surprising thing you learned in this project?
Well, for me, the most interesting was that the prison is just a very boring place where usually nothing is happening. Everything what we know from the movies, the historical scenes, the fights, the riots, it happens once in half a year, or once in a year or never. If you have a good management, as it was there in Odessa, like usually you don't have it. So it's just nothing. And for me, it was the most interesting moment how to capture this nothing, because I wanted to avoid all the cliche that you have all in these prison movies. And this was the biggest surprising moment for me, how to capture it. And that's why we are so focused on small everyday details, because I wanted to make this film that you can feel the smell of the prison.
Mm-hmm.
That when you watch this woman, how in the summer, how they are sweating, how they are working there, or how they are just smoking outside, or how they are eating watermelons, that you can really feel the smell of the watermelon, or you can really feel the smell of the room packed with women that's smoking illegal cigarettes. So this is what I wanted to somehow put, that from the screen, you can feel it.
Yeah, it plays very much in stark contrast to something popular in the US currently, or like Orange is the New Black, if you will. I really like the sequence where the guards are painting the bottoms of their shoes to look like Louboutins. Yeah, there's mild bits of humor in there, including with how Irina is very set on politeness, like saying thank you and you're welcome. So it's not without some comedy, but I think you have Lesia talking about the passage of time. And I got the sense that these mothers specifically, their time is devoted to what they get to spend with their children. Like that's the only happiness. And would you like to speak about how it was shooting with the child portraying Kolya? Because I thought he was very touching in his two scenes.
Yeah. My father was a film director, and he taught me one thing when I started my career: never film with children and animals.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this quote a lot of times when we were filming with children in the prison. The two boys, they are not from the prison, they are casted.
Okay.
From the casting agency, because we wanted to be sure that, you know, they will have time when we need them. And it was really very hard, because it's the most dangerous thing, dangerous age for filmmaking, because they don't understand exactly what you want, but also they understand enough to not do what you want.
Right.
It's the first personality building, and we had to spend with them really an enormous big amount of time, and basically to play with them. So some of the scenes we were filming one day, but it was not just they had to be used to the camera and everything, and we were playing games and filming, and suddenly I knew, okay, now he's going to search something, just be quiet, this can be good. And basically in my brain I had to always edit, like, okay, maybe this moment when he's playing with his friend, it can be good, and we can move it. So editing and writing was during the shooting. It was crazy time, but on the other side, really beautiful.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I really like Irina's moments with Kolya. I think they're perfect. But yes, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to see this film a second time. I'm happy to see that it is Slovakia's entry for consideration. It's a very compelling film. So yeah, thank you for your film, and I really appreciated getting to speak with you. And I guess a final question: does the experience of making 107 Mothers, are you perhaps going to have, is your next feature a narrative feature or a documentary?
I'm working on two films.
Oh, wow.
One is a documentary, because I started it later. But the next film should be a very similar movie, like 107 Mothers in terms of method. It's based on a popular book of a Polish writer, Witold Szablowski, and it's called Dancing Bears. And I would like to film it with real Bulgarian Roma people in Bulgaria. And of course, it would be scripted and prepared and so, but the combination of real people and fictionalized story based on true events, it should be a method that I would like to continue.
Okay, interesting. Well, I very much look forward to that. And again, thank you for your film, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you very much.